The Department of Justice says it has complied with Congress by releasing all required files related to the Jeffrey Epstein case. But there are no signs that the push for more public information is dying down, and there are major questions about the political fallout. Here to break it all down, Jesse Burns, senior editor here at The Hill. Hey, Jesse. So what do you make of this statement from over the weekend by the Department of Justice? They said they complied with the Epstein Transparency Act passed by Congress and mandated the release of these Epstein files. And then the response from lawmakers really on both sides of the aisle that said, not enough.
Well, you're absolutely right, Drew, that the administration would like for this issue to be well behind it. They have spent months grappling with the fallout of not releasing all of the documents right away. Of course, they have faced bipartisan calls to do so. And really, if you just look at the magnitude of it, we're talking about more than 3 million documents. And what they released over the weekend was a list of more than 300 individuals who appear anywhere in the files, and they can be, and one of the big criticisms right now is that the administration hasn't distinguished between people who were very close to Jeffrey Epstein and who might have faced some legal scrutiny at some point from authorities, as well as people who had absolutely no connection to Epstein personally, but whose maybe name appeared in a news clip or somewhere else, and that was forwarded to Epstein's account. And so seriously, a lot of serious questions still being raised by bipartisan members.
Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna, the Democrat and Republican who've kind of been front and center in this push for information to be released, they say they want notes from charging decisions to be released. They want to know why others implicated with Jeffrey Epstein have not been actually charged with any crimes. Do you expect them to kind of continue this pressure on the Department of Justice?
Well, I think they definitely are going to continue. It remains to be seen if that's going to actually have any impact with the administration actually releasing any of this. There has been, I think, notably some movement. We've seen this pair, continue to press for names. They've read names on the House floor. They have posted on social media. And in response to some of the pressure, the administration has more clearly redacted certain documents that they have posted on the internet. The lawmakers raise concerns that they are not doing that across the board, that they are not being as transparent as possible, as the law that President Trump signed requires the DOJ to do. So I think you're going to see Massie and Khanna continue to lean into this, but notably, it's not just them. We do see other Republican lawmakers who are facing pressure from their own constituents to provide a reasoning for why the administration hasn't done it so far.
Another reason we may expect this story to stick around is the House Oversight Committee has some high-profile depositions coming up. Les Wexner, the billionaire businessman who was close to Jeffrey Epstein, is going to be deposed this week. Bill and Hillary Clinton are going to be deposed next week. I think just the work of the Oversight Committee would make it difficult for the administration to move on to another story, considering all that it has planned.
That's right. Wexner will be have faced testimony and be questioned on Wednesday of this week, and you are seeing lawmakers, really raise the question of, if the administration or the House Republicans rather are pressing forward with interviewing high-profile people like former President Bill Clinton, what precedent does that set for in the future? Should Democrats retake the House in November? Would they actually press to try to question President Trump himself at some point, someone who is also named in these documents, but for both individuals, no one has alleged any wrongdoing.
What do you make of the way that information has been released? You had Ro Khanna read the names of people that he said were likely implicated in Epstein's crimes on the House floor, come to find out some of them not actually involved in this case at all. You had people with varying levels of correspondence with Epstein being forced to resign their positions in business and government. Is this thirst for information perhaps leading to unintended consequences that are at times harming innocent people?
Well, first, let's understand that there have been real consequences for a number of the people who have actually been mentioned, not in the part of being charged, but rather facing public scrutiny. You've seen Kathy Remler, who's a former White House general counsel who had to step down from a top Wall Street firm in her role there. We've seen, the fallout surrounding Prince Andrew and a number of others who have, their close ties to Epstein have come out. Now, again, they have not been formally accused of any criminal activity, but just the mere presence of them in these documents over and over again has led to outcry. But in terms of the individuals who you mentioned, maybe haven't actually faced any kind of scrutiny, but they are mentioned in the files, I think you are going to see, the administration lean into that. That has been their rationale so far, that they are trying to only redact the names of victims. We've seen some individuals who we don't believe are victims just based on the information that we have that are also redacted. And so you're going to see some more pushback on the part of these lawmakers.
What about the politics of all this? I've seen some polling that shows young men specifically, people that are less politically engaged, really turning on Trump over the handling of the Epstein case. Is this a chink in the armor of President Trump that could cause him to perhaps loosen his grip on the Republican Party or potentially hurt the GOP in midterm elections?
Well, I don't think it rises quite to the level of, issues like the economy, affordability, which we understand long are the dominant issues heading into elections that really drive the narrative and drive people at the polling places. But you are seeing certain, it's reflected in polls, as you mentioned, where the administration's handling of this issue has not been treated favorably by the majority of Americans. And really, it is that handling of the Epstein files that has long been a real point of a weakness for this administration. They've caught a lot of flack, the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, all the way down. And I think the White House understands that to some extent. They understand that because they've been trying to push forward and change the conversation away from this for so long. But you also see certain congressional Republicans like Nancy Mace saying that even these document releases over the weekend, it's not a complete picture of what the administration has. So I think you're going to continue to see consternation within the Republican Party over the Epstein files. Whether it makes an impact in November remains to be seen, but it certainly is not going to die down anytime soon.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Jesse Burns, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.